If you like this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, your name can appear at the beginning of this and many other upcoming videos.
Huh? Ocellus?
Go away.
We're still in those weird caves beneath the school. We've got to get out of here. Chrysalis! Where's Ocellus?
It's me! I'm hideous!
Whoa, hold up! Did she just call Chrysalis hideous? As the season draws closer to its finale, I appreciate that there's another episode that gives focus to the Student 6. But it's not just the idea of the episode, because What Lies Beneath does a pretty good job executing its story while giving some good development to each of them. It's surprisingly engaging, even if it does have its flaws, but we'll get to that later. The Student 6 are studying for a friendship test when Cozy Glow, that little witch, compliments their capabilities while unintentionally undermining their confidence. This ends up distracting the students as they begin to question if they're even capable of learning friendship at all. But when they go to investigate a mysterious vent, they find themselves trapped beneath the school. They come across Twilight, who seems to be acting differently, as she puts them through a challenge to face their greatest fears, only able to return to the surface if they can pass them. Alright, let me just get this out of the way. Cozy Glow just grows more and more suspicious with each passing episode. She may act all cute and innocent and well-intentioned, but it feels way too cheesy to be natural. The way she explains the flaws in each of the Student 6 feels like she's intentionally doing it in a personal manner, and it even seems to affect some of them during their challenges. Her choice of words and the manipulative tone in her speech really sets off a red flag, and the dialogue she has at the end while suspiciously looking at the tree beneath the vent, right after coming up with that sob story, really points out how she's up to no good. The writers aren't exactly being subtle with her, and it's probably gonna take a while to determine if they did this correctly. But on the other hand, the challenges the students face and the flow of the story are handled very well. The episode has a mix of adventure and horror, but it maintains a lighthearted tone so it feels fitting with the show's style. The transitions between each challenge have good timing to them, so the pacing manages to stay balanced and consistent. And the fears they have to face all have a common sense of relatability to them, so you're able to feel invested in their struggles. Gallus is afraid of closed-up spaces, Silverstream is scared of losing everything she cares about, Sandbar doesn't want to shame his idols, Ocellus has self-doubt issues, Smolder doesn't want to admit she likes cute stuff, and Yona is afraid of spiders. I mean, we're all a little afraid of spiders, right?
Why couldn't it be follow the butterflies?
A really good thing about these challenges is that they add some nuance to the students. They really help to explore their personalities, seeing how the challenges affect them and how they overcome them. Silverstream has always been enjoyably bubbly because her silly nature was handled properly. She's never portrayed as ignorant or dumb, she's just really excited to learn about the outside world after all the time she spent living underwater. Because of the Storm King's tyranny, she felt trapped in the sea, not being able to enjoy things on the surface or make friends with the creatures living there. She was always afraid of losing all that stuff again, so her challenge was to face her fear of the Storm King. In order to overcome her fear, she needed to face him herself. And when she finally works up the courage to tell him off, it feels triumphant enough that her shining moment feels earned. She overcame her fear, and now she doesn't have to worry about losing anything anymore, with a little help from Gallus. Then there's Smolder, whose challenge was to be honest with herself and not being afraid to express herself. Because of her upbringing as a dragon, she felt nervous about admitting to liking girly stuff, seeing it as a weakness. But when she takes the moment to just let herself loose, she finds out that expressing herself really isn't as difficult as she thought. It's a challenge that properly fits her blunt personality, and what makes it even better is that it goes against what you normally expect from this kind of character. Instead of her fear being the idea of liking this kind of stuff, her actual fear is admitting that she likes it. It's her secret passion, and she needs to swallow up her pride in order to fully accept herself. It's also pretty cool to just see her having fun with it, accepting that this is part of who she is and not feeling any shame in it. Yona's fear is a little less complex, though it does seem to fit her pretty well. She had to get over her fear of spiders by allowing herself to lower her guard and give them a chance. When she does, she starts to see how spiders aren't always something to be afraid of and doesn't allow herself to be threatened by them. She comes across as a gentle giant offering her trust in them, which fits pretty well with her silliness and naivete. Sandbar's challenge is pretty basic, but it surprisingly holds a lot of meaning. His challenge was to prove his loyalty to his friends, but it also implies how his greatest fear was disappointing his idols. Because he was more familiar with the concept of friendship, he was able to overcome his fear together more easily, and it properly represents the loyalty within the group. What helps to make it special is that it strongly resonates with the main point the tree was making at the end. Sandbar was more concerned with the well-being of the others over his own, which led him to showing how friendship is in the nature of the group. He was hesitant at first, but he was able to recognize the most important thing in their friendship, how staying together is what makes them strong. And through his loyalty, the confidence in the others was restored, allowing them to finally finish the test. A really cool thing about these challenges is that it shows how far Gallus and Smolder have come since their debut. They were previously more prideful and didn't think that friendship was important, but over time they allowed themselves to open up to others. Because of their growth, they were not only the first to complete their challenges, but they were also able to help some of the others with their own. These two have really developed over the course of the season, and it's nice to know how they developed while still maintaining their familiar personality traits. My favorite challenge of all is actually Ocellus's, because it feels like the one that has the most weight to it and the hardest to overcome. Her challenge was that she was afraid of her existence as a changeling, that she couldn't adapt to a new lifestyle, and that being a love-sucking changeling is permanently in her nature. She hates the idea that deep down she's still evil or that she could end up being like Ocellus. But with Smolder's help, she realizes that she shouldn't get caught up in the past, and what matters most is what she chooses to be now. She was able to overcome her fears of herself and the idea that she would only ever be viewed as what she once was. It opens up a lot of potential for her character, because you start to think about what she might have been like during Chrysalis' reign. Did she like being a love-sucking changeling? And how much regret does she hold inside? Or was she like Thorax and just felt self-conscious about being part of a hostile species? There's some intriguing possibilities here, and they're actually quite interesting to think about. Of course, the episode also has its flaws. Silverstream's challenge kind of feels too silly because of those ridiculous faces that she makes. It's supposed to be a dramatic moment, but those faces really end up taking away from it. It's really hard to take the moment seriously when she's making such meme-worthy expressions. Also, Gallus's challenge ends up feeling really weak, as it has nothing to do with the concept of friendship. I mean, he faced his claustrophobic fears, but what does that have to do with friendship? He only started looking for his friends after he completed said challenge. And aside from that, it's actually pretty messed up. If he ended up failing the challenge, he would have been either trapped or crushed by the walls. So he literally could have died from failing. What exactly was the tree thinking when he gave him that challenge? Not only was it completely messed up, but it doesn't even feel strong enough because it doesn't resonate with things that are familiar with him. Like, why couldn't his challenge be about overcoming loneliness, adding to his backstory from the Heartswarming Club? Something that resembles him better instead of this random choice that does little to advance his character. I also think that the tree's methods of helping Yona, Gallus, and Silverstream feel pretty excessive. Silverstream was suffering from PTSD, Yona was completely horrified, and Gallus was put in a state of panic. Professionally, these are really dangerous methods because it ran the risk of completely traumatizing them or having negative impacts on their psyche. Despite being an entity of magic and knowledge on friendship, the tree ends up looking really insensitive over this. And in spite of giving some more insight on the Tree of Harmony, this episode just makes the tree's presence feel more confusing. I mean, we do see how it's a well-meaning but defensive entity that wants to maintain balance and harmony. It's capable of free will, independent thought, and only chooses those that are worthy of representing the elements to share its power. But it doesn't come across as surprising because these were things that I knew long before the episode came out. And because of that, I'm only left with the questions that this episode raises. How far can the tree grow, and why is it growing? Is it still growing? How fast is it growing exactly? The episode only vaguely touches upon any of this, and it adds more mystery to something that had way too much mystery behind it already. But even so, this is definitely one of the best episodes of Season 8's second half. It's actually one of the best of the season in general, adding character development to the Student 6 in really satisfying ways. It's an episode that I look forward to seeing again sometime soon. So until next time, take care of yourselves and stay awesome. This is Map signing out.